Before starting, we want clear some things. These are the basic simple ones. We have known and cleared them in HTML with 0 part, but for verification we are just gonna revision. So what are CSS syntax? So it's like one of the element types. Syntax is the declaration of the form combined in so it's like, think of it as CSS element, it's like an element of HTML element, similar, but it is called syntax. Okay, so selectors, we know what if we want to put CSS in any kind of element, we put this here and curly bracket and declarations. That's it. This is the CSS syntax we have used. This is the property and the values, etc. Okay, just like this. Okay, we know. So as you can see, the syntax are similar like this. Okay, color, x-class, etc. These are the selector, curly bracket, and property and values. These are called declarations. Okay, so let's see. The selectors point to the HTML element you want to style. Okay, the declaration blocks contains one or more declarations separated by semicolons. Okay, each declaration includes a CSS property name and a value separated by a colon. So each declaration includes a CSS property name and a value separated by colon. So declaration blocks contains one declaration separated by columns like this. Okay, so multiple CSS declarations separated by semicolons, and declaration blocks are set by the curly brackets. Okay, so now we have cleared. So CSS selectors. CSS selectors are used to find or select the HTML element you want to style. We can divide CSS selectors into 5 categories. Simple selectors select element based on name, ID, class. Combinator selectors select element based on a specific relations between them. Pseudo-class selectors select element based on a certain stage. Pseudo-element selectors, this is class and element, there's a difference, select and style a part of an element. Okay, attribute selectors select element based on an attribute or attribute values. Now the CSS element selectors, the element selector selects HTML elements based on element name, like this. It is selecting paragraph. We know this, so we are just gonna go to the ID selector. So ID and class, in the previous video on week 0 episode 2, we have learned about class and ID. So how to select them? You can use hash. To select ID. This is called ID selector. Hash and para. Okay, for example, the theory is the ID selector is the ID attribute on an HTML element to select a specific element. The ID on an element is unique within a page, so the ID selector is used to select one unique element. To select an element with a specific ID, write a hash character followed by the ID element. Para 1, it is paragraph 1. It's like this is para and 1. Paragraph ID. This is also paragraph, but this will not be affected. Only this hello world text will be contained because it is ID. Okay, and this is how you will meet it. Okay, use hash just like in HTML. Okay, now the CSS class selector. This is the same thing with only dot. Instead of hash, we are going to use dot. Simple as dot center. around center. So what are you saying? In this example, all HTML elements with class center will be rect. Okay, what is class equal to center and center. Okay, these two will be effective because these two are centers for ID and class. Okay, so what you can specify element by effectively class. In this element, only P element with class center will be entered. Okay, so there are two centers, H1 and paragraph. So which one will be effective? Of course P, because paragraph dot center. It will, the P will be only set. So this is how you can select one specific element. So in this element, P element will be styled according to the class center and to the class large. As example, class large, and also border strings. That's P center. And now P center and P large. Okay, those are the first things, and we're gonna do. So a class name cannot start with numbers. You have to remember this. Okay. The CSS universal selector. The universal selector select all HTML element on the page. Example, the CSS rule below will affect every HTML element on the page. Okay, this is when you use star, this means universal selector. Just remember it. Okay, and this will select everything. Now the CSS grouping selector. The grouping selector select all the HTML element with the same style definition. Look at the following CSS code. The H1, H2 and P element have the same style definition. H1, H2 and P. Text align, center, red color. So it will be better to group the selectors to minimize the code. You can also write the code like this, but it will increase the length. To minimize the code, you can use comma like this. We have used this method in table. If you finish the table video, or if you have watched the table video, you will know we have used this method. Okay, so now we know there are three ways to insert CSS into HTML document. First one external, second internal, and third inline. Okay, external. With external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing just one file. Each HTML file must include a reference to the external style sheet file inside the link element. So we need to link our external CSS, or you can say style file. You can say CSS file, and you can if you use this text method, then it is called external, because you have another extra file of CSS, not inside the HTML, but another extra file outside of HTML. So what is internal? An internal style sheet may be used if one single HTML page has unique style. As I have said before, these internal and inline CSS methods are only gonna work on if your CSS code are short, or you can say if your HTML is one page or for practicing. But sooner or later you have to use external. So I prefer everyone to start working with external method. Okay. So in internal CSS, you can see my style. Internal selectors are defined with the style element inside the head section of your. Okay. Now, okay, for preference, I'm gonna just change color not red to this. Okay. So inline CSS and internal CSS are similar, and internal style may be used to apply a unique style for a single element. To use inline style, add the style attribute to the relevant element, and the style attribute can CSS property. So what is like this? Okay, inlines are not declared in the head section. It is declared in with the element like this. So we have learned this before, just we are doing revision. So now CSS command. We know that how to put HTML comments. You just clicked, or you can say you just put hashtags and you will find it. But CSS comments are similar like this. You have to slash star and the comment and star hash, and this will be a comment. Okay, the simple thing, nothing else. Okay, now CSS background image we have known and learned in the episode 2 of week 0, but still we just gonna revision it. The background image property specify an image to use as the background of an element. By default, the image is repeated, so it's covered the entire element. We have known in the episode 2 of week 0 that whenever we try to put background image, by default the image will be repeated on the entire element, so it kind of look ugly. So if you set the background for the page like this, if you set it like this, your background image will repeat itself. To stop the repeating, you have to use no repeat, or you can say repeat background equal to no repeats. We are going to discuss. So CSS background colors, we have learned about this later, we have learned and known this also. And CSS background colors, the background colors property, etc., like this. Background colors, this is the property, this is the property, and this is the definition of value. So I was talking about this background repeat, no repeat. So the code will be like this: background repeat equal to no repeat. Okay, so we will talk about this in the practical video, so we're not gonna talk about it. So now CSS background shorthand property. To shorten the code, it is also possible to specify all the background properties to in a single properties. It's called shorthand property. Instead of writing this, you can add this, like background image URL of this, no report, right top, etc. Okay, so when using shorthand property, the order of properties is background colors, background image, repeat, attachment properties. It does not matter if one of the properties is as long as the other properties are in the order. Note that we do not use background attachment properties in the example of the CSS value. So now let's move to the next chapter. This was the revision of the things we have learned in week 0 episode 2. Now we are going to get to the real part of CSS. So right now we are going to learn what is CSS margins. So CSS margin properties are used to create a space around the elements outside any defined borders. With CSS you have full control over the margins. There are properties for settings the margin for each of an element: top, right, bottom and left. Margins in visual shade. CSS has properties for sounds: margin top, right, bottom, left. Okay, all the margin properties have the following values: auto, the browser calculates the margin; length, specific margin in px, pt, centimeter, etc. It can be also meter, blah blah blah, anything. So okay, percentage, specify a margin in percentage of the width of the containing element. Inherit, specify the margin should be inherited from the parent element. Tip, negative values are also allowed. Now let's see an example. So this is targeting P is the selector, and targeting to those. So I have created an example using VS Code Copilot. So there are so many things, so I'm just gonna copy this. And by the way, this example is made by AI that is built in VS Code. So we are going to run it. You can see all the P elements, not the H ones, only the P ones are in the middle like this. You can see in the code P explanation of CSS Box. So this is how it's working. This is for the reference. You can put any kind of number, px, percentage, anything else you want. So let's get to it. So margin shorthand property. To shorten the code, it is possible to specify all the margin properties in one property. The margin property is a shorthand property for the following individual margins properties. Margin top, right. Instead of writing the code like this, you can write the code like this. If the margin properties has 4 value like this, margin dot columns 25px, 50px, 75px, 100px. But remember, the individual things or you can say the serial number. These are the serial number. First it have to be top, then right, then bottom and left. So this is the code. It is the exact code. I'm not gonna use this, that's why. If the margin properties has 3 value, you can also use this. But remember, if you use this method like this without mentioning these properties, you have to know when to write top, right, bottom and left. These are the simple things, like you can watch me, top and right and bottom and left. So that's how we can manage it. So if it is split like this, okay. If the margin properties has 2 values, top and bottom, remember, top and bottom, you can also add like this. Okay, if the margin property is 1 value, then px, all the 4 must be px. Example shortened like this. So now let's talk about the auto value. You can set the margin property to auto to horizontally center the element within its container. The element will then take up the specific width, and the remaining space will be split equally between the left and the right margin. Use the margin auto. So I'm just gonna use this for example. Just use this and targeting all the piece. Let's see, you can see targeted piece. And what we have, margin auto, border 1px for these for the border 1px and the color red solid. Okay, margin auto. So the inherit value, this example let the left margin of the P class ex element to be inherit from the parents element from here. So use the inherit variable. To use this, we are going to need an typical example. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna go to VS Code and clear this off, don't close the, and I'm just gonna Control I and paste this, and just gonna select create an example, just a form. Okay, example like this. It will be doing symbol. Ta-da! I'm just gonna accept it. So I have created the example using the AI. Now let's check with this variable div margin left. So what we are missing? We are missing only. I'm just gonna replace it fully. Okay. Okay. Now what we have here, margin left inherit. So it is I'm just gonna do the p, and we know what this p dot x means. Okay, so this is the sample. So let's see, margin left. So it has taken the margin left and do this other thing to inherit it form. Okay, now let's back to the theory. So margin collapse, we know the collapse things, so it's just gonna collapse. But for example, we'll be using margin collapse. I'm just gonna ask the AI also. And control demonstrate margin collapse. Box 1 box 2. Okay, this can accept it. So what is margin collapse? This is margin collapse 1 2. But for example, if you see that box 1 or box 2 have different things, or image margin collapse demonstration, but in the D plus marks 1 marks 2 bottom is 20 ps. Notice the space between two boxes is 20 ps instead of 40 due to margin collapse. So the collapse between this in this to 20 px. So I hope you understand. So hello guys, now we are going to learn CSS border style. The border style property specify what kind of border to display. The following values are allowed: dotted, dash, solid, double, row, free, instant. We have learned these types of border in HTML week 0. If you have downloaded the document file I have uploaded, you will find there in the, you can say, the very beginning or ending. Okay, so the border style property can have from one of the 4 values for the top border, right border, bottom border, left border. Okay, so demonstrate how this kind of work. Result, dotted, dash, properties, etc. Just use gonna this. Okay, if you are having problem understanding this, I'm just gonna simply understand. These are what? This is selector dot, the center we have learned in the beginning, and this is the dotted, I mean that border style, and this is the angle bracket border style equal to dotted. Finish. It is the simple CSS, and the output will be like this: no border, etc., etc. We will not discuss that lately. We will discuss it more in the practical video. The CSS border width. The border width property specifies the width of the 4 borders. The width can be set as specific size in px, pt, centimeter, etc., or by using one of the 3 pre-division thin, medium, thick. We have learned this and known this from the beginning. So selector dot 1 turn to this border solid. I'm going to use the example here to show you what I'm trying to explain. If you can't see the thing, then you won't understand easily. So this is border road property. The border road property doesn't work if it is alone. It's border property. So what is border road? This is border road. The body, as you can see, this is dot type, this is piece type, something like that. Okay. Now CSS border color, we have known this thing in week 0 episode 2, and we also know the hex, RGB, XLL, etc, etc. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you some demonstration. This is like a revision of or the beginning of this video, like this border color, nothing else, nothing more, nothing less, simple as this. And this is the code for selector targeting, etc, etc, solid, etc, etc. It is solid, this is dot, this is solid. That's why. Now let's back to the specific side color. The border color property can have from 1 to 4 values, etc, etc. So like this, P1 border solid, green, red, yellow, etc, etc, hex, etc, etc, border hex, etc, etc. So I'm just gonna use this to show you what is P1 or P1, yes, P1 selected. Okay, now I'm just gonna demonstrate hex value also. Hex value is P2. I'm just gonna use it in P1, or I can use it without anything else. Okay, let's do this. P2. You know what? I'm just gonna copy the code. I'm just gonna copy the code here. RGB values. We know this. Copy and fuck. No, I accidentally copied that. So we're just gonna paste this here. Okay. Now, if you run it, you can see the difference. So, what kind of difference I'm talking about? Here we have yellow, and we have red in the top, and blue in the bottom, and green in the left. Okay, and this is all the prints. So this is how you can add multiple colors values for elements. Now Excel is the same thing. So CSS border individual side, we have learned this individual side like dot, side, etc. But for now I have to show you some example. I'm going to show you some example and I'm gonna run it. See, different style. The left and the right one has solid, and up and down one has bottoms, dot, or you can say dot. So this is the similar things. I'm not gonna explain, just gonna. If the border style has 4 values, border, dotted, solid, double dash, you can use this short way, dotted, solid, double dash. Like top border is dot, solid, double dash, and left one dash. Okay. So if border style properties has 3 values, you can use this. If the border style properties has 2 values, you can also use this like the pre. If the border style properties has 1 value, you can use this. And all the will be the same. Okay, now CSS border shorten property. Like you saw in the previous page, there are many properties to consider when dealing with borders. To shorten the code, it is also possible to specify all the individual border properties in one properties. The border properties is a shortened properties for the following individual border properties. So border weight, border style required, and border style. So what can you do? I can add one px big solid like this. Okay, and left border, right border, etc, etc. All things I'm not gonna show you. Just know these things. Front border, we know those things. The CSS rounded border. This is new. The border radius property is used to add rounded border to an element. What gonna be here? I'm gonna take the example here and run it and copy it paste it and run it. See, normal border, round border, rounder border, roundest border. Simple. So all CSS border properties, border, bottom border, color, border style, etc, 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 etc. We have learned this. So that's it, guys. So we have finished CSS border style. We have finished learning CSS border style. Now let's get to the next topic. Now we are going to learn about CSS padding properties. Padding bottom, padding left, padding right, etc, etc. Just like the border things. Bottom, left, right, top, etc. Now, what is CSS padding? CSS padding is used to create a space around an element's content inside an HTML. And we know that in week 0, episode 2, we have discussed about it and learned the basics of this. And also in the beginning, we have learned about this too. Okay, with CSS, you have the full control over the padding. There are properties for the top, bottom, left, right. Okay, so padding in visual side. We also know how to put the individual things, like individually do things. Just change the subject from, you can use border, or you can say you can color, to you can use padding top, right, bottom, left. Same thing, just gonna change the selector. Okay, all padding in visual have the following values: len, etc, etc, etc. Now remember, negative values are not allowed. Okay, for example, if we use this example to check this out, I'm just gonna okay, this element has a top padding of 50% and right padding at 30% and 50% and the left at 50%. Okay, and left padding at 80%. Okay, so padding of pixels, etc, etc. So padding shorthand properties. To shorten the code, we can use shorthand like this. If the padding has 4 values, simple. If 3 values, if has 2 values, and if have 1 values. Okay, padding and element width. The CSS width property specifies the width of the element's content area. The content area is the portion inside the padding, border, and the margin of an element. The box model. On the next video, we are going to learn about the box model for better clarity. So if an element has a specific weight, the padding added to that element will be added to the total weight of the element. This is often an undesirable result. Example, here the div element is given with 300 px, however the actual of the div element should be 350 px. So of the legs of the right pie. So example, we are just gonna use, remove the code, run the code, run the code here. Okay, this div is 300%, but this div is 350% px. Okay, now to keep the weight at a px no matter the way, you can use the box sizing properties, the cost currency. So what we're gonna use, we are going to use box size property. I'm just gonna copy the whole code. And the code, and run it like this. See, the box sizing, border box. We're going to learn this in the next video deeply. So that is, guys, we have learned what is CSS properties, and actually we have start learning about these CSS basics on week 0 episode 2. So let's back to the box model. So Now we are going to learn the CSS box model. This is the most important thing to learn and understand, so I need your full focus on this. The CSS box model. In CSS, the term box model is used when talking about design and layout. The CSS box model is usually a box that's wraps all around HTML elements. It consists of content, padding, borders, and margin. The image below illustrates the box model. So the image is here. So this is the basics box model. Top margin, left margin, right margin, bottom margin. So top border, left border, right border, bottom. Top padding, and this is the content. So now you understand what is margins work, what is top words, what is padding words, and what is content. Okay. Content, the content of the box where the text and the image appears. Padding, cleared area around the content, the padding is transparent. The border, a border that goes around the padding and the content. Margin, clears an area outside the border, the margin is transparent. So the box model allows us to add a border around elements to define a space between elements. So we are going to use this example and run it by clicking F1. So see, this CSS box model is usually box right under cross. So what we're going to see, border, we are seeing the green colors is the border, and what is that, what is this color? Background color of the content will be light gray, and width of the device is like this, and the padding of this, padding is the space between these. Okay, padding is 50%, and the margin, what is margin? Margin is the box speed outside it, or you can say this string. Okay, now I hope you have the clear understand of box model. So first, what we're going to see, we're going to see what is what margin. These are the margin. Okay, now after that we have borders. The border color we have given is green color. Okay, now we are using padding. Padding is this space. Okay, now after that we have the content like this. So I hope you have the clear and simple understanding of the CSS box model. So now let's back to the theory. Weight and the height of an element. In order to set the weight and the height of an element correctly in all browsers, you need to know how the box model works. And now we have known how the box model works. Importance: you have set the weight and height property to the element with the CSS. You just set the weight and the height of the content area. To calculate the total weight of an element, you must include all the padding. So this div element have the total of 60 weight, total of 80. So I'm just gonna copy this, select and run it. See, by the way, I don't have the image. If we want to find we are not gonna use the image. Okay, simple things. Now we have put this code. Now check. So what do we have? Weight of 320 px and height of 50 px and the padding is 10px, and the border is 5px. Okay, margin 0. Okay, but if we add margin to 60px, so now if we run the code, you can see this has margin has taken its space of 60. Okay. So if you want to see the calculation, you can check this out in the description, document description. So that is, guys, we have learned about the CSS box model. See you in the next chapter. So now we are going to learn about CSS height and width values. The height and the width properties may have the following values: auto, length, percentage, initial, inherit. So I'm going to use this example on my VS Code and run it. See, this div element has a height of 20px and a weight of 50%. By 50% mean the whole 50% of the whole weight. Okay, I mean this is the 50%, this is the other 50%. So now this element has a treat of 100% pixels and a weight of 100%. This is the similar things. This cannot take the px to the pixel strand and pixel strand. Okay, remember the largest hash should include blah blah blah. Now, since the settings height and the weight, the height and the weight properties are used to set the height and the weight of an element. The element and the height properties do not include padding, borders, margins. Okay, I'm just gonna not this. I'm just gonna do this back. Okay. It set the height and the weight of the area inside the padding, borders, and the outside the element. Now, CSS height, width, and a max element. So there are two width. One width is a normal width, and max width means it's gonna take the maximum width that there is available. So the CSS weight, height, and properties are used to say, etc. The CSS max width is property to max. As you can see, it is on 100%, so it can take the whole screen out, or you can say whole weight of the screen that is available. So setting max width. The max width property is used to set the maximum width of an element. The max element can be set in the length values like px, centimeter, etc., or in a percentage, or a combination, or set to none. This by default, which means there will be no maximum width. The problem with the div above occurs on the windows is smaller disk is having a down window is gonna take extra horizontal options. So in this case means the max will improve the handle form of the board. So this element has a height of 100% x max or fixed%. Note, if you for some reason use the both width property and the max width property on the same element, the value of the width property is larger than the max property. The max property will be used and the width property, the normal width property will be ignored. Okay, it's gonna take this code. Okay, I'm just gonna run it. So the weight is height is 100%, 100px, and the max weight is 500px. This is 500px and 100px. Okay, so these are the simple things. I hope you understand. So now we're at the bottom of it, bottom of the CSS properties. Now all CSS dimension properties: height, max weight, minimum weight, min weight, minimum height, minimum weight, and width. So that is, guys, we have finished learning about CSS height and width values. Now let's head back to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about CSS outline. An outline is a line that is drawn around the element outside the border to make the element stand out. The CSS has the following outline properties: outline style, outline color, outline weight, outline offset, outline. Outline differ from borders. Unlike borders, the outline is drawn outside the element's border and may overlap other content. Also, the outline is not a part of element's dimensions. The element's total weight and height is not affected by the weight of the element. So, this is outline style. This is the same style we have seen before: dot, dash, solid, double, draw, freeze, insert, outside, down, etc. etc. So, for an example, the following example show the different outline style values. So, I'm just gonna use this example to show you a glimpse of all the examples and run it. See, dot, dash, solid, double line, group, etc, etc, etc. So these are the things. Okay, now CSS outline width. The outline width properties specify the weight of the outcome can have one of the following values: thin, typically 1px, medium, typically 3px, thick, typically 5px, and a specific size in px, pt, centimeter, em, etc. Following example of how circle different weight. So a thick line, a medium outline, a thick line, etc. So to see this actually work, we're going to need this example or code. I'm just gonna copy it and paste it and run it. See, a thin line, a medium thin, a thick outline, and 4px. This is the simple things. Okay, so now CSS outline colors. We have known about the color like hex, RGB, SLL, interval, visual, etc, etc. So we are not going to go to the color. We are not going to go to VS Code to see the colors. These are the same things we have been learning. Okay, these are the values of the color, XL. Okay, now we are going to learn about CSS outline shorthand properties. Now we have known that shorthand means we have to we can shorten our code. Like the outline property is the shorthand property for setting the following individual outline properties: outline width, outline style, which is required, outline color. The property is specified 1 or 2 or 3 values from the list above. The order of the values does not matter. Okay, now what we're going to see, we're going to see the example of the following examples with shorthand outline property. And outline properties means what? Outline properties mean this, and this. So if it is 1 value, you can use this. If it's 2 values with a red color, you can use this. If it's 3 values, you can use this. If you have 4 values, you can use this. There are expert graphs for this. So now we're going to see CSS outline offset. The outline offset property adds a space between an outline and the edge, or you can say border of an element. The space between an element and its outline is transparent. The following example specify an outline 15 you can say 15 px outside the border edge. This paragraph has an outline of this border. It's gonna show us something like this. Okay, it's gonna show the outcome like this. So I'm not gonna use this. You can see the margin px, border is 1 px, solid black, outline is red, and outcome this will be text will be the red, and offset is 15 px and offset is 15 px. This is the same thing. We're not going to look at it. So now we're going to see line, outline colors, outline offset, outline style, outline weight. Okay, so that is, guys, we have learned about CSS outline. Now let's move to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about CSS text. Now CSS has a lots of property for formatting text, and we have known them in HTML series. We have known them in week 0 episode 2. Now we are going to learn deeply. Text color. You can color your text by using RGB light, hex light, RGL light, or other light. Okay, we're not going to go there because we have known how to color. But for example, you can see that we are selecting our body to be colored in blue, H1 in green, and that's it. Okay, now text color and background color. In this example, we have defined the background color property and the color property. Now this is the thing, we can check this out in VS Code. Select the code and run it. Okay, so what do we have here? For body we have light gray color. This is light gray, and for the text color we have blue. This is the body. It's the body. Okay, now for H1 we have background color black, and text color is white. Okay, now for div color we have blue, and also white. So if we find this is div, this is div, background color black, white, same things, simple things. So now the CSS text property has colors. Now let's learn about text alignment and text direction. In this chapter you will learn about the following properties of text alignment last, direction, Unicode BD, vertical align. So now text alignment. The text alignment property is used to set the horizontal alignment of a text. A text can be left or right aligned, center, or justified. The following example shows center alignment, a left or right alignment text. The following text is devolved by etc. etc. So what do we have here? The H1 will be in the center, H2 will be on the left, H3 will be on the right, and that's it, guys. For example, we have seen this kind of typical examples, but just for the theory we're just gonna paste it and run. See, H1 center, left, right, etc. etc. Okay, now when the text alignment property is set to justify, each line will scratch so that every line has the equal width, and the left right margin are straight like in a magazine image. So let's see. Okay, let's see, and okay, just okay, see, justify. It's gonna take the whole line a separate way like this, and the okay. What we have, border 1px, padding 10px, and weight is height is better. So we have known what is things are like this. Border like the border the bar string, and padding is the space between the text and the border. So width is 2x 200%, so 200 px, height is 200 px, and text align justify. So text align last. The text align last property is how to align the last line of code. So I'm just gonna show you the example by running it on okay. Now you can see what we have here. Paragraph A, okay, paragraph A right, paragraph B center, and paragraph C justify. I mean the last one is justify. This is basically to justify. So what we are seeing this here, this justify, because it's gonna take the whole weight, center, and the right, the last text align property, the last and align property. Okay, so these are the simple things. So text direction, the direction and the univary properties can be used to change the text direction of an element. So for example, I'm just gonna take the code, run it on my VS Code like this. This is the definition, left enter. And direction is right to left, RTL, right to left. Okay, so unit bit is BD override. So right to left, or you can say right to left. Okay, direction is like something else consider. Now vertical alignments are the same thing. It is vertically origin, baseline, top line, etc, etc. Okay, I'm just gonna use this. I'm just gonna use the example. Okay, and vertical alignment, if you want to say, it is gonna take this way, not this way. So it's the space will be special, but this will take the whole way like this. Vertical, and this the name is itself is vertical. So now we have this property, direction, text alignment, text last, univariate, vertical alignments. Okay, now we are going to see text decoration. In this chapter you will learn about the following properties of text decoration: line, text decoration color, text decoration style, text decoration thickness, text decoration. So add a text decoration line up to text line. So what is text decoration? We're going to learn it. And VS Code. Ta-da! Overline text decoration. Line through a text decoration, underline a text decoration, overline a text decoration, underline. So it is not required to underline, that is not linked but as often as you confuse the reader. So I hope you have seen this. Specify color for this. Now color, we are declaring the color. Let's go to our VS Code again, paste the code and run it again to see same thing but with color. Okay, what we have here for H1 text decoration line, overline, line through, underline, underline, underline. Okay, so space style for a decoration, text preserve is to set the decoration, etc, etc. This is default, etc, etc. We are not going to run it because we have known what is this going to be about. Specify by the thickness software, and by thickness it's going to be the line of the thickness, but for the better understanding I'm going to run it on my VS Code to show you what I'm trying to say. This is the thickness. Okay, so the shorthand property, the text decoration property is a shorthand property for text decoration line required optional. So for example, if you want to add underline, you can use the codes. For P text decoration, underline red double PX, underline red double underline double. Same thing we have seen and learned in the previous chapter, so I'm not gonna run it on VS Code. A small tip. All links in HTML are underlined by default. Sometimes you can see the links are styled with no underline. The text decoration none is used to remove the underline from the link like this. Okay, it will remove the underline. We are also not gonna run it. The CSS text decoration properties are text decoration color, text decoration color line, text decoration style, thickness. Okay. Now text transformation. The text transform property is used to specify uppercase and lowercase in the text. It can be turned everything into uppercase or lowercase. Okay, it's like a subscript or subscript thing. Okay, for example, I'm just gonna use this example to show you. As you can see, this text is transformed to uppercase like this, P uppercase. So I'm going to use the class, because we are using class, that's why there is a dot, and lowercase, this lowercase, this text is capitalized. The first letter of the word will be capitalized. Okay, simple thing. Now we are going to learn about text spacing. We are going to learn about text spacing. In this chapter, you will learn about the following properties: text intent, letter spacing, line height, word spacing, white space. So text spacing. What is text spacing? Text spacing property is to specify the indentation of the first line of the text. So let's check this out by running it on our VS Code. See, this has the space because of 10px and wisdom. Simple thing is simple thing. Now letter spacing. What is letter spacing? I'm just gonna copy the code first. The letter spacing property is used to specify the space between the characters in a text. The following example increase or decrease the text. So let's run it. See, space letter spacing 5px and minus px. Okay, simple thing, just need to know the basics one. Okay, so line height. The line height property is to display the space between lines. So I'm just gonna copy the code and I'm gonna run it again on my VS Code to show you. See, this is paragraph with standard height like this, and with what we have here, we have small, and we have big line difference. Okay, so I hope you understand this. Now let's move to word spacing. Just first gonna copy this. These are the simple things. The word spacing property is to specify the space between the words. Simple things like this. This is a paragraph between is gonna use this word spacing. Paragraph 1 10px and word spacing is for minus 2x. So as you can see the difference in the minus section of word spacing, this is the close and this is the 10px. Okay, now we have finished word spacing. Now white space. White space property is specified how wide a space inside an element is handled. So we are gonna run it on our VS Code again. So this is some text that will be not wrapped. Okay, as you can see, no wrapped because we are not wrapping. Okay, now letter space, line space, etc, etc. Okay, one more thing. If we want to C is as a wrapped, see, this is the wrapped, the space is wrapped. Okay, simple thing. Now text shadow. The text shadow properties add shadow to the text. In the simplest use, you can also split the horizontal text 2px and the vertical 2px. Now for better example, I'm just gonna run it. See, and shadow off is gonna show off. We are not going to search. This is the same things. You can try it yourself, but we are just trying to understand the main concept, and we have understand that. So we have successfully finished this chapter also. Now let's move to the next chapter. Now in this chapter we're going to learn about CSS Fonts. Before that we have learned about CSS Text and other stuff, but now we are going to learn about font. Font selection is very important. Choosing the right font has a huge impact on how readers experience the website. The right font can create a strong identity for your brand. Using a font is etc, blah blah blah. So we have here generic font families. In CSS there are 5 generic font families: serif, sans serif, monospace, cursive, etc. We have seen serif and sans serif in the previous videos. So serif fonts have a small stroke, etc, etc. We're not gonna discuss, but all the different font names belong to one of the generic font families. Okay, the CSS font properties. In CSS we use the font family property to specify the font of a text. In the font name, if the font name is more than one word, it must be in a quotation marks, like Times New Roman. It is more than one word, so it is in the quotation marks. Okay, so what we have here: font family, Times New Roman, Times Serif, Arial, Herringo, etc, etc, etc. So we're not gonna discuss it that way, but if you will blame me if I didn't show you what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this is the thing, this simple thing, like font family, Lucan, Sculon, Courier words, and monospace. So this is gonna just create a monospace between this, and this is gonna create a space also. Okay, now font area stone, sans family, etc. We have learned this about sans serif, monospace, serif, so we're not gonna discuss this. You will find the document in my description. You can check this out yourself. I'm just gonna explaining things. I'm just gonna do explaining. So what are web safe fonts? Web safe fonts are the fonts that are universally installed across all browsers and devices. Fallback fonts, however, there are no 100% completely fallback. There is always a chance that a font is not found or is installed properly. Therefore, it is very important to always use fallback font. Okay, this means that you should add a list of similar backup font in the font family property. If the first font does not work, the browser will try the next one and the next one and so on, and they always end the list with generic family name. Okay, so we have seen, if you are listening very carefully, we have did it in the previous way, like this. This is the first, and this is the fallback, and this is the generic font family name. Okay, generic font family names. For example, like this: to always use background. So one, that is web font shape, and two is fallback font, and second one's generate font family. Okay, that's why I'm always trying to say that it is easy if you understand the content. So best web font for the HTML and CSS are Arial, Sans Program, Bandana, etc, etc, etc. You can take a screenshot of it, or you can find it on my document. So I'm not gonna explain this. What are these? What are these? Are the same things we have used. So now CSS font fallbacks, commonly used for fallbacks. Below are some commonly used fallbacks organized by 5 generic fonts: serif, sans serif, monospace, cursive, fancy. So it's perfect. So Roman New Times serif. This is a heading, this is a background. But this is the same usual things we have seen and learned and did. So CSS font style. Now we are talking about the font style. Font style properties become mostly used to specify the italic text. This property has 3 values: normal, italic, and oblique. The text is learning. Oblique is similar to italic but less supported. So we basically have only these 2. Okay, normal and italic. So we know what is italic, and we have known what is normal text. Just use the things like what is. The code is like this. How to insert CSS font style like this. You select the selector and the class name normal, and inside the curly brackets you are using font style columns normal semicolons and close curly brackets. Simple things. So font weight are the same things with just its property of this, with property of this. What? Selector, class name, curly brackets, font weight, normal, lighter, bold. Same thing. That's why we are not going to run it on our base code, because that will make the video long. The font variant property specify whether or not a tag should be displayed in a small case font. It is in a small case font, all lowercase are converted to uppercase. However, the converted uppercase letter appears in a smaller font size than the original uppercase letter size. Okay, this will do the thing like uppercase, lowercase, but the size difference will be seen. Simple thing. Now CSS font size. CSS font size is the another policy. The font size property said the size of the text. Being able to manage size is important in web design. However, you should not use font size to make paragraphs look like a heading or headings look like a paragraph. Always use the proper HTML tag like H1, H6 for headings and paragraph for the paragraph. Okay, absolute side, relative side. We know if there is an absolute, there's gonna be a whole list of things, and if there is a little thing, it's gonna shorten the things. Now let's see. Set the size to a specific size. Set the size relative to the surrounding elements. Okay, does not allow a user to change the text size in all browsers. Bad for accessibility reader. Allows user to change size. Simple thing. Absolute size is useful when the physical key size of the output is known. Okay. Now set font size with pixels. Settings with pixels. So pixel will have the code. I'm just gonna say what is pixels. Pixels are these fucking things. We have seen this. Okay, 30, everything. If you use pixel, you can use zoom tool to resolve the intersection. So now set font size with EM. Now we are going to see what is EM about, because we haven't used this EM examples before. So I'm just gonna run it. See, it is the same thing. It is the exact same thing. Like you see the example or the calculation, you can see 14px. 14px start by 16 equal to 2.5 em. Simple as fuck. Sorry, for the value. It's the simple thing. You can use px, percentage, em, all the same thing. Just use the calculation before that. So use a combination of the percentage and em. It's gonna give off the same thing. I'm not showing. Now, what is responsive font size? This size can be set to a BW. What is viewport width? Which means viewport width, the way which text, etc. We have known this thing. Just see the code here, and here. But you will blame me if I didn't explain properly. So I'm just gonna paste the code, run the code, see the code. Resize the browser window to see how the text size scale. Use the beaver to unit when blah 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 blah. So as you can see the difference, if we resize this, it will also show us then. Okay. Now Google Fonts. If you do not want to use any of the standard font in HTML, you can use Google Fonts. Google Fonts are free to use and have more than 1000 fonts to choose from. How to use Google Font? Just add a special style sheet in the head section and then refer to the font in the CSS. For example, we are going to run this. Now, before running this, let's see. Link, reference, style sheet. We have selected Google. What is font.googlepiece.com CSS? Press stop, and I'm just gonna give it a go. Now, what we have selected family equal to Sophia. So font family Sophia sans serif. So if we run this, tada! Simple thing. This is the simple thing. Now we have not, as you can see, for the selector we have used body. So inside body everything is affected by Sophia. So I hope you have run to it. So this is the same thing. You can check out. I will give the Google Fonts link on my video description. You can check out the fonts. The same thing way, just family Tringo. This is the another font we are not going to use. So CSS great font pairing. Font pairing rules. There are some basic rules to create great pairing pairs. Complement. It is always to use, the terms of pairing that complement one word other. Says, just looks. You should always pair fonts that look great with each other in the simple word. And use font superfamilies. If superfamilies has a font is to all together. So using a different terms is it. Constant is king, etc. No doubt is screen, etc. These are the example. Now CSS font property. The CSS font property, to shorten the code, it is also possible to prepare all individual font into one property. The font property is font style, font variant, font weight, size, line height, font family. The font size and the font values are required. If one of the other values is missing, their value will be value are used. So as you can see, I'm just gonna copy. Just gonna copy the, okay, as you can see what we are seeing, italic, small, caps, bold, px, and after that dash 3px goes here another stuff. So same things. What is we saying? Font size and font families. We have used font and fonts family. Now we are not going to see the other stuff. These are the things. So guys, we have successfully finished the CSS fonts, and now let's move to the next chapter. So now we are going to learn about CSS icons. CSS icon can be easily added to your HTML page by using an icon library. So how to add icons? The simplest way to add an icon to your HTML page is with an icon library such as Font Awesome. Add the name of specific icon class to any inline HTML element like eye or span, or all the icons in the icons library below are scrapable vectors that can be customized with CSS, color, size, shadow, etc. So, Font Awesome icons. To use the font icon icon, go to fontawesome.com, sign in and get a code to add in the head section. So, I'm just gonna open the code on my browser. Okay, Font Awesome. So as we are doing, so we are going to start for free. So after creating an account, you will see something like this interface. So I'm just gonna use the classics ones. There are so many things, so I'm just gonna use this classics. Perfect is a part of free. This is free, so hosted by us. I'm just gonna click next. Step there. Error. Icon. Okay, make my key. I'm just gonna create my key. So okay, now I can use this code in here. So let's first open my VS Code. After opening my VS Code, I'm just gonna paste the code. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy this whole code. Okay, and and paste this, and after that I'm gonna copy this code and remove it, and I'm just gonna replace this. Okay, so when I run it, you can see, it's gonna take some time. See, I class fast float and style font code, colors, flash code, font code, and font size are 20px, 30px. That's why these are the from smaller to bigger size, because we have English this size. Okay, now let's head back to the code. So now we know how to add icons to our website, or you can say HTML page. So now Bootstrap's icon. To use Bootstrap, click add the following line inside the head section. You have to use this. Now remember, there is no downloading or installing. I'm just gonna copy this code and run it. See, now we are using Bootstrap icon library. So Bootstrap icon library does this. Okay, same thing. So now to add Google, we have to use this. Okay, simple. So that is, guys, we have learned about CSS icons and how to add icons and how many icons library are there. So moving to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about CSS links, and we have learned about them plenty of them on week 0 episode 2. But now let's see, styling links. Link can be styled with any CSS property like such as color, font, parabola, background, etc, etc. So I'm just gonna give you one simple explanation by running it out. See, it's the link. Okay, now some of you may have been troubling that understanding what is default.sf. It gonna target, or you can say refresh, the same page or any other page, so it's nothing but basic things. In addition, link can be styled differently depending on what state they are. The 4 link states are a link, a visited, hover, active. So we have learned about the link, and whenever we visited a link, the color will change. Hover, active, we have known about this. So I'm just gonna copy this code and run it at my VS Code. Okay, so this is the link. So what is in, whenever you click this, the link will be shown as visited. Now what is a hover? Hover is like this. When you move the mouse cursor on over the link, it will show another color. Now what is active? Active means whenever I click on the link, it's gonna show blue color. So that is active. So while setting the style for several link states, there are some other rules. A hover must come after a link and a visitor. So first you have to follow this. First have to do link, second has to be visited, and then hover, and must have to come down, and the last one should be active. Okay, now we have talking about the text decorations earlier. So we are not going to talk about it that much. Just gonna show you the basics example what is it about it. So text decoration, none, visited, none. So see, none. Now the background color, we have learned about them, so we are not gonna talk about it. So now we are going to talk about the link buttons. This example demonstrates a more advanced example where we combine several CSS property to display links, X, boxes, and buttons. So what we have? We have used a link, a visit, then color, a background color, padding, text, align, text decoration, display inline. Okay. Now we also have used another tool, and that is a hover and active background color red. Simple. So this example demonstrates how to add other link to the hyperlinks. You can use the color format like this in the for one hover, and you can use the link to etc, link 3 etc, link 4, link 5. So as you can see, there are several things about these things, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is, guys. Now we have learned about CSS links and how to style them, etc, etc. So let's move on to the next chapter. The next chapter we are at CSS list. So here are some CSS properties: list style image, list style position, list style type. So we have known about the under list and oral list. Okay, so HTML list and CSS list properties. In HTML there are two main type of lists: under list and oral list. We have known them in our previous week 0 videos. Now the CSS list properties allows you to set different list item marker for order list, unordered list, set an image as a list item marker, and add background colors to list and list items. So let's talk about different list item markers. So for that we are going to use the list style type property to specify the color type of list item marker. Now we are going to run this code on our VS Code to see. Okay, so what we are having here, let's see. UL, I mean unordered list, and class for class, and a list and circle. So this are showing circle. So and also unordered list B square. So these are showing us as square. So after that, order list C upper Roman. So this is showing us upper Roman. Order list D lower alpha. So it is showing lower alphabets 1 2 3. Simple. And for example, this is how you add this: class B, class C, class D, etc. Okay, now an image as the list item marker. For that we are going to use list style image property. Now position the list item marker. For that list item position property says right, etc, etc. The same thing is will create as something. We are not gonna discuss this because we have learned them. So now we're going to see remove default settings, the list style type none property can also be used as to remove the marker bullets. Note that the list also has a default margin padding. To remove this, add margin 0, padding 0 to UL and OL. Okay, it will just simply create default this. Now let's see list shorthand property. For that we're going to use list style property as a shorthand, and it's going to be set to all documents for list style shorthand. Okay, list style square inside URL keyword. So we are not going to use because we haven't done that for. When using the shorthand property, the order of properties are list style type, list style position, and also in the last list style image. If one of the property value above is missing, the default value for the missing property will be inserted, if any. Now styling list with colors, background color, or you can say background and padding px, etc, etc. Simple thing we are not going to see. And for OL list we are going to background, color, padding, margin, etc. Same thing we have been learning from the beginning. So that is, guys, we have also learned, we have also finished learning about CSS list. Now let's move to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about CSS tables. I have made a separate video on the tables on week 0 series. Now we're going to learn about CSS table. So same thing, just with add some CSS to decorate it, to make it look beautiful. So example, to create something like this in the table, we have to use the example of customers. I'm just gonna run this on VS Code to show you what I'm trying to say. See, so these are the table ID. We have table ID customers, and these other names and things. So now we are using ID, that's why we are using hash customer, which is selector, and inside the curly bracket we have our font family Arial and a font back and the generic font family name, and we are using border collapse and width is 100%. Now again customer TD, table data and customer head, we have solid border of 1x, entities, etc, etc. Now customer table raw not child even background color is 10 and table hover color is 0. To make it more understandable, we are going to do something with the color. So this is customer table data and customer heads. So customer head names are this and this. So I'm just gonna give it red color. Okay, so now you can see the difference here. You can see the difference here. Okay, but this is only for the border because you can see border 1px, etc, etc. Now customer ID, background, even background color, we have to add this too. I'm just gonna get to a random color. See, customer table raw paint challenge, which is, you can say, the 9th or the 1x1 specification of these things, like 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Yeah. Now if we add the hover with blue color, you can see this. Okay, now let's, sorry, we're just gonna, okay, now table head background color is this, because this is table head. Now other word color is color white, means the text color is white. Okay, that's it, the simple way, the fast way. Now let's talk about table borders. To specify table border in CSS, use the border property. We also know that. So inside table border, we can use several things. 1px, we also know that. Now let's talk about full weight table. The table above might seem small in some case. If you need a table that should span the entire screen, I mean it's gonna take the full weight, like as you can see, I have used the reference of family name or family guy character's name, Peter Griffin, Lois Steven. So you can use what 100. We also know that's what this means. Okay, what this means. So double borders, we have talked about this collapse border in week 0. So we are also not, and we know what border collapse do. We also know that. So we are going to just learn CSS table size, table weight and height. The weight and the height are defined by the height, blah 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 blah. So I'm just gonna explain this, and I hope you will understand all other examples. Now run it. So let's see. For table data and table head, for table header and footer, we have border of 1px black solid. Now for table we have border collapse, weight is 100. By 100 means it's gonna take the whole weight. Okay, so now table head height is 70%. That's why it's taken as this height 70 px. Okay, that's it. So CSS table alignment. Now let's talk about horizontal. We have talked about CSS text alignment property. So for example, I'm not gonna run it, I'm just gonna explain it. And text alignment center. So that all the text will be on the center of table data. I mean table data informations or data will be on the center, not left or right. Okay. Now vertical alignment. We also have learned the vertical alignment. So what vertical alignment will do? It will show the table data as in the bottom, on the bottom, on the top. Okay. Now CSS table style. Now table padding, we know what table padding padding properties do. It's just gonna see padding for table head and table data padding 15 px. Simple. Now horizontal dividers like this. You can use border, bottom, one pixel and the color of this. Now hoverable table, we know what hover do. So you would use this tree like tier, hoverboard, background color, color. Now strip tables have all the ziggurat. You can use for ziggurat tables. You can use the 9 etc. We have used the 9 selection before like this, so we know about what this is. So now CSS responsive table. A responsive table will display a horizontal scroll bar if the screen is 2 feet square, etc. Now add a container element like div with overflow x auto. Now we are going to run this on our VS Code. Okay. Run this on our VS Code. Okay, let's try. So what does it do? I mean div style overflow x, so what does it do? Just include this. Now let's see. Table we have no, and paddings we have no. Now tiers to even break we also know that. So if the responsive table a horizontal scroll bar, the screen is small, and now currently the screen is small. That's why the browser like the div strong flow, div style overflow x auto. So it's gonna creating this around the element. So CSS table properties are border color, border spacing, caption size, edge size, etc. You can read this out. So we have finished learning about CSS tables. Now let's head back to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about the CSS layout, the display property. This one is important, so we are going to give some of the focus on here. The display property is used to specify how an element is shown on page. Every HTML has a default display property, blah 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 blah. So we have learned about the block level element in week 0 episode 2. So div element is a block element. Example of block elements, div, h1, etc. etc. We have known this block level elements in week 0 episode 2. So inline element, an inline element does not start a new line, only takes as much as width necessary. Okay. Example of inline: span, anchor, image. Okay. The display property values, inline, etc., etc., flags, etc. You can read this out. So now display none is commonly used with JavaScript to hide and show elements without deleting and recreating them. we have used display none on episode 2. That's why I'm not gonna explain it again. Now override the default display value. As mentioned, every element has a default display value. However, you can override this. Changing an element, inline element to block and elements or vice versa can be useful for making the page look a specific way and still following the web standard. A common example is making inline align, you can say list element for horizontal menus. So I'm just gonna take this example code and run it on my VS Code for better understanding, like this. CSS pieces, HTML, and I have created these links, but it is horizontal, not vertical, it is horizontal. Okay, and the following example assignment calls a black instrument. So I'm just gonna create this, and not I'm just gonna copy this. This is not that kind of example. I'm just gonna copy this, for example. Following example, display anchor element as a block element. This is more important than that. That's why I have taken this. See, block element, something like that. Okay, enough playing. Now height an element, display none or visibility hidden. Display none is removed, and visibility hidden means height, or you can use the reset. To see the example, I'm just gonna run this code on my BS, and before running, let's see. We have using the hidden what? Hidden property h1 class hidden display none. Okay, so when we run it, what we are seeing, this is a visible heading. This is a visible heading. So this is a hidden heading. When we use hidden, it is remain hidden. So notice that h1 element with display none does not take up any space. So h1 with display none, h1 hidden display none, this is the display none. Okay, because this is display none, has okay, I'm just gonna go ahead, has taken up and does not taken up any kind of space. Okay, now if we run this, the visibility hidden, now this is the visibility hidden. So when you run it, so let's try to understand what this code means. h1 is for h1 and dot is for classes, remember, and hidden the class name, and inside our curly bracket we have used visibility hidden. So this is a visible heading. Now this is a hidden heading, but notice that the hidden heading has still taken up the space. Yes, this has taken up the space of h1, but previously this one, when you use block, no, we didn't use this block, sorry. When we use display none, this does not take any kind of space. Simple, beautiful, and display none. So guys, we have successfully finished learning about CSS layout and the display properties. Okay, now moving to the next. Now we are going to learn about CSS layout, width and max width. As mentioned in the previous chapter, a block level element always take up the full width available, stretched up to the left and right as far as it can. Setting the width of the block level element will prevent it from stretching out to the edge of its container. Then you can set the margin to auto to horizontally center the element within its contour. The element will take up the specific width and the remaining space will be split equally between the two margins. The deep element has a width of 500 px and the margin set to auto. Note the problem with the div above occurs when the browser window is smaller or in the width is blah 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 blah. We will talk about this later. I'm just gonna give this a try. And now I will start explaining, but I am going to drink some water. So now deep classes ex1 weight has 500 px, margin auto, border 3 px, and color is green. So this is what about different. This is 500 px. Okay, now what about deep 2? Same thing, as you can see, same as the code. So what is the difference between them? Drag the browser to the smaller window to see the difference between two depth. As you can see, this one has taken a little bit, the first one, and this one has taken as less. So what we are going to see, I mean, there are literally nothing to explain, but for example, we are using what? We are using div 1 x1. This div has weight of 500, okay, px. Have you noticed the width and the max width? The only difference between here and here, nothing more. That's why whenever we use this the mesh one to see the difference between two divs. Width has this and max width pixel. This is max width and this is normal width, but this is has taken extra and this has less taken less. Okay. to understand that the problem with the div above occurs when the browser window is smaller. Okay. When the weight of the element, the browser then adds an horizontal scroll bar to the page. Using max width instead in this situation will improve the browser's handling of the small window. This is important when making a site usable on what? Usable on small device. So max width is important. The div element has a max width fixed, then margin set to auto. Okay. So that is, guys, we have successfully finished learning about CSS layout, width and max width. Now moving to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about the CSS position property. The position property we have heard and did something. Position properties is blah, blah, blah. There are 5 different position values: static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. So as we have learned about these 2, 3 and 4 and 5, I'm just gonna revision it. Elements are often positioned using the top, bottom, left and right properties. However, these properties will not work unless the position property is set first. Okay. HTML elements are positioned static by default. Static position elements are not affected by top, bottom, blah blah blah. An element with position static is not positioned in any special way. It is always positioned according to the normal flow of the page. This, etc, etc. Okay. Now position relative and static. Okay. And position static. Now position relative. An element with position relative. What? Position relatives is position between status normal. Setting up the top, bottom, blah 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 blah. Relatively positioned elements will cause it to adjust away from its normal position. Other contour will not be adjusted to fit any gaps to the element. This element has position relative. So we are going to see this example in our VS Code. Run it. Tada! See, left 30px, that's why 30px, position relative, okay. So what happened if we use the position fix? Now we are going to use the position fix simple way on our VS Code. We're just gonna run it and run it. Okay, I am sorry, this is not to fix. Okay, now I'm going to run it. Okay, see what happened? Bottom 0, right 0. That's why it is here on the bottom on the right side, and width is 300px and the border is etc etc. Okay, so now I talk about the absolute. I'm just gonna copy the whole code and run it on my VS Code. See, so as you can see, top 80% px, 80% px, this is 12%, this is 80%. Okay, now what is 0? Right 0. Right 0 is here, that's why it is on the right side, not the left side. This is the right side. So weight 0, etc etc. Simple thing. Now let's talk about position sticky. This one is strong. So before that, an element with position sticky is position based on the user scroll position, and a sticky element toggles between the relative and a fix depending on the scroll position. It is position relative until a given offset position is met in the viewport, then it stick in the place like a position fix. You must buy at least one of the top right etc for the stick position to do. In this example, the position is top on the page, top 0, so it is going to be on the top. Okay, we are going to run this. See, so as you can see, why this is called sticky, because it is still showing but other elements are not. So this is sticky. The simple way to understand why this is called sticky, and this is, and how to add sticky deep position like other position, and we can say position sticky top 0, that's why it is on the top, and padding is 5px and etc etc. Simple way to learn. Okay, now positioning text in an image, and for example, as you can see the image on the top left, so I'm just gonna for the top right, I'm just gonna use this let's run it. Page, copy the part and and put inside this. Okay, now when you run, it's not gonna run directly, but it's showing perfectly. So what do we have here? Container, position, relative. So top left, we are using top left, that's why it is showing the position of this thing. So image text, some course, etc. So you can add any kind of text inside this, inside in image, or on the top of the image, like this, top left. But remember, it is for top left. If you want to use other thing, you just have to change this, okay, and change this. Simple. I'm just gonna give you one more demo for top right. Everything is same. I'm just gonna use this. I'm just gonna use this, and I'm just gonna take this div. Okay, I'm just gonna change this div. Simple as well. Now this top right, I just change this and this. So you can use the bottom left, bottom right thing, and you can also center it by center and using div class center. Okay. So guys, we have successfully finished learning about CSS layout, the position properties. Now moving to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about the CSS layout overflow. The CSS overflow property controls what happens to content when that is too big to fit in the area. For example, we are going to see this. So whenever the property is, or the content is longer or larger to handle, it's gonna create scroller, overflow, scroll. Simple. If it's then it is could be simple. Okay, simple. Moving to the now CSS overflow. The overflow property specifies the ability to clip the content or to add a scroll bar whenever the content of an element is too big to fit in a specific area. The overflow property has the following values: visible, hidden, scroll, and auto. We know what visible means, we know what hidden means, we know what scroll means, and also we know what auto means. So overflow visible, for example, I'm just gonna use this example and run it. See, solid visible, overflow visible. So the overflow is showing that this is overflowing. It is showing us that it's overflowing, nothing more. Now hidden, I'm just gonna create this hidden. I can, okay, and run it. Hidden. The other stuff or other text that's overflowing are hidden. Okay, so scroll, we have used the scroll one, not gonna use this. So auto, we're going to see the auto. Okay, so overflow auto. So auto, the auto value is similar to scroll, only it's as scrollable when necessary. So this is necessary, This is not necessary. This is why it's not showing a scroll bar on the bottom. Okay. Now overflow X and overflow Y. Overflow X and overflow Y properties wherever to change the overflow of the content horizontally or vertically. Okay. Overflow X is people what to do, left or right. So if you have learned about calculus math, you know that the X axis always are the left to right, and the Y axis are always on top, bottom, or you can say like this. So I'm not gonna call it because this is the same property, etc, etc. So overflow, what does mean, works mean, overflow, whatever the experience you can bring to point. So guys, we have successfully finished learning about CSS layout overflow. Now moving to the next chapter. So now we are going to learn about CSS layout, float and clear. The float properties is used for positioning and formatting content. Let an image float to left to right in the container. The float property can have one of the following values: left, right, none, inherit. Okay. In the simplest use, the float property can be used to wrap text around the image. Float to the right. So we are seeing this float to the right. See, float to the right. Now I don't have the image, but if I use the image of my own, suppose I'm going to use this image I have and paste it inside. Okay, now whenever I run it, you can see. So what does it? Float right. It's left right. Didn't take some float to right paragraph like this. And whenever we use what? Whenever you use left. Whenever you use left, the float will be like this. In this example, etc. Simple way. Nothing less, nothing more. Okay. So we have finished left and no float. What does no float mean? Image. We're going to select this image and no float and copy it and what? See, no float means this. Now float next to each other. This is going to be an experience like this. Copy this and so yeah, run this. Okay, deep 1 2 3, float next to each other. Okay, so the clear property. Now we are going to learn clear property. We have finished learning about the float property. Now we are going to learn about clear property. When we use the float property, we want the next element below, not on left or right. We will use the clear property. The clear property can have one of the following values: none, left, right, both, and inherit. When using this, etc. I'm just gonna give it an example. Use this example, run it on my VS Code. Fuck. No. Okay, so def 1, it is left. Okay, floating to left. Def 1 is floating to left. That's why it is on here. But this doesn't have any kind of float. Def 2, that's why it is on the top with clear. Without clear, with clear. See the difference? Oh my god. Now if you are thinking about what happened to deep 2, deep 3, deep 4, you can see the deep 1, deep 2. Notice the deep 2 is after the 1. Deep 1 is here, deep 2 is here, but with this is without clear, but with clear this div 3 div 4. Simple, man, simple thing. Try to look it and understand it clearly. So if you look at the code here, what is saying? It is using classes because we are using dot div 1 float left dot div 2 dot div 3 dot div 4. So why we haven't used the clear property here? Because this is the first thing, and the second thing, we need to be on the clear property. The clear property, remember guys, clear property always need to be given on the second, from starting from the second thing, second line. Okay, like this. The clear fix hack: if a float element is taller than the containing element, it will overflow outside the container. We can also add clear fix to fix the problem. So let's run the code without wasting time. And if you are new on my channel, please don't forget to subscribe my channel and hit the like button and share this video with your friends. I'm going through so much trouble to teach you to make these videos, so please support me. Okay, what we are seeing here: div border 3px solid padding, image 1 float right. So image 1 float right, that's why it is floating right without clear fix. So we are using clear to right, but with clear flow auto. I'm going to use an image only for the clear photo, because copy as part, and I'm just gonna give it to the where clear fix source. I'm just gonna give it to here, nothing more, nothing less, simple way. Now when we will run it, we will see our code. Okay, so this is what I am trying to explain. Overflow auto clear fix is going to clear fix it. The overflow auto clears works well as long as you are able to control of your margin and padding, else you might see scroll bar. The new modern CloudFirst hack, however, is easier to save, etc. So we are using this. Okay, so what is clear fix? The previous one was clear fix overflow auto. This one is clear fix after content clear display mode. So what? Same thing, but it is much better with the clear flow, clear fix. Okay. Now moving to the now CSS layer float. With float element is easier to post for content by side by side. Side by side. Side by side. Side by side. Okay, side by side. As we have seen in the div 1, div 2, 3. The image will be side by side, but we have to, add image. So I'm not going through that trouble again. Equal height box. In the previous example, you have learned how to float by side by side with equal weight. However, it is not easy to create floating box with equal height. A quick fix, however, it is fixed height. So box sizing, border box. This will be the next thing you have add. So flexible. Now we are talking about the flex box, because I always use flex box. That's why I'm trying to explain it to you guys more carefully. So this flex box, as you can see, this is flex box, flex container, flex box. box 1. This is some text to make sure that content gets really tall. This is the some text to make sure the content gets really tall. Okay, my height will follow the box 1. See, flex box. Now navigation menu. You can also use float with a list of hyperlinks to create navigation menu. So I'm just gonna copy this example and run this on my VS Code for a better understanding. As now your question will be that we have used the list, another list or order list, but we didn't, the list didn't show up like this on the top like a navigation bar. So what make is the navigation bar? First of all, let's look at the CSS. All these things we are seeing right now is all CSS doings. So let's see the CSS. We have select UL, list style type, go to none, and margin 0, padding 0. Now overflow is hidden. Okay, background color is this color, so that's why this is showing the color. Okay, now list, float to the left, from left. Okay, from the left. List A. Now we are targeting what? We are targeting anchors, I mean the hyperlinks. Display inline block, that's why it is showing us like inline block. And color white of the text. Remember, it is not background color, this is only the color. Color means background text color. Now text alignment center. Now text decoration equal to none. That's why it's showing us there. Now list a hover. Whenever we put our sin, it is showing as a black. This is the hover one. Now active. Whenever we try to click it, it show active. Now why home color is only red? Because currently we are at the home. That's why it is showing red. If we have added, you can see class active home, that's why it is showing. If we had added extra classes to these guys also have, like, I'm just gonna explain this. Okay, now run it. See, same thing. Okay, if you are new on my channel, please subscribe to my channel. And if you like the video, and if you like the content, please give it a like button. Give the like to my video, and also if you have any kind of doubts, comment. It is also common to do entire web layouts using the float. I'm just gonna copy it and just gonna run it on my VS Code. Okay, see, so what we have here, first look at the HTML. Inside body we have div class header, and after that we have what? We have div class clear fix and class column menus, flight, city, island, food, and after that we have this class column contents. Okay, this is like the column contents. Okay, the city, the China is distributable of the China, blah 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 blah. Now div class footer. Okay, now let's look at the let's look at the CSS. We know what this means. This star means it's an universal selector. It's gonna select the whole items, whole thing, everything inside this, inside the HTML and CSS, everything, because this is what? This is universal selector. Remember it. box sizing border box, that's why it is inside border box. Okay, now body background is white, simple. For header and footer classes we used what? Color gray, this color gray, background color gray, and color of the text is white. Padding 15 px, okay, 15 px, okay. Now we are seeing the columns are here. These are the columns. Float left, that's why it is on the left. If you write instead of giving it left, you write left, it will be show here. Okay, padding 50 px, so 50 px. Okay, now clear fix after. As we know, if we use after that, it is going to show like this, and clear fix means this, and after this is content, clear, bold, and display table, and this is showing us as a table. Now menu widths are 50%, like this, 50% of this for whole weight. Okay, now content is 75%. Okay, now menu UL, list style none, margin 0, padding 0. Okay, and the item list are padding 8px, margin bottoms 8px, and the background colors are this, and text color is white. So horizontal curve, whenever see hover, simple. When you click this like this. Okay, we have successfully finished learning about the CSS layout, float, and the clear property. So moving to the next chapter. So now we are going to learn about CSS layout, display inline block, the display inline block value. Now we have learned about display inline thing, but now we are going to learn about display inline block. The major difference is that the display block inline block allows to set a width and a height on an element. Also with display inline block, the top and the bottom margin paddings are respected, but with display inline they are not. Compared to display block, the major difference is that display inline block does not add an inline break after the element, so the element can sit next to other elements. The following example shows the different behavior of display inline, display initial block, and display block. Now we are going to run this example on our VS Code. Now let's run the code. VS Code. See. So what we have here? Let's see the HTML first. The display property. The display property, display inline. This is display inline, and this is display inline block. This is display inline block, and this is just display block. This is display block. Okay, so what we have here? Span dot, anchor, etc. Span B, span C, same things, just with different things. So as you can see the difference, that in inline there are these blocks, inline things. You can say inside the inline text, the docs board is inside inline, showing as an inline block. Now and display inline blocks equals to this blocks types, and it is showing as code. Now display blocks mean. So I hope you understand. If you see this display inline, widths are 100%, height are 100 px, and padding are 5 px, border 1 px, background color blue. Now in a span B inline block, widths are also 100%, 100 px, height are 100 px, as you can see. So with inline block you can add height and width, okay. And with block, these are the similar things, but it is a block functions. So now using inline block to create navigation links, One common use for display in blocks is to display list of items horizontally instead of vertically. So, okay. So the following example creates horizontal navigation link. So these are the. So I'm just gonna copy the code and run it on VS Code. So as you can see, we have our block horizontal navigation links. By default, list items are displayed vertically, but in this example we use in this inline the block to create what? To display them horizontally, side by side, like this, not this. Okay. If you resize the bar, the link will automatically break and it will look too crowded. Okay. So this is how you will target the nav, and this is the nav class and the list and the nav list itself. Okay. So that's it, guys. Now we have finished learning about CSS layout, display, inline block. Now moving to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about CSS layout, horizontal and vertical aligns. Center align elements. To horizontally create a block element like div, use margin auto. We know what is margin auto. Setting the weight of the element will prevent it from stretching out to the edges of its container. The element will then take up the specific weight and then manage then remaining space will be split equally between the two margins. So let's see by running it on our VS Code. Okay. Margin auto weight 60%, 60%, etc. So see, 20% are here, 20% are here, and 60% of the weight is here. Simple. Center alignment has no effect if the weight property is not set or set to 100%. To center the text inside an element, as you can see, the text is not centered. Only you can see that the div is centered, but the text is not centered. To text is centered, you have to use text align center. We have used this before, so I'm not gonna explain it that much. I'm just gonna show you what I'm trying to do. See, the text is centered. The text is centered, but the text is centered. Okay. To now center an image. To center an image, set left and right margin to auto. Set right margin and to auto, and make it into a block element. Okay. So display block left margin left auto, margin right auto. Simple. And you have to give it yourself like this. Okay. Same thing. Left and right alignment using position. One method for aligning elements to use position absolute. Okay. Same thing. What it is saying that what? Right, position absolute, etc. That's it. So this is using the position light on stand. And another method for align methods to use float. Simple thing, right, float right. The only difference will be here, and position here. This orientation. Other thing will be the same as far. Okay. Now clear fix hack. We have known about the clear fix hack. With clear fix and without clear fix not. So for example, this one is showing us that etc. I'm just gonna run this example again to give you some clarity, but before running I will change the image with my own. So I have an image, and that is my Nexus page. and I'm just gonna copy it, and I'm just gonna change this to this. This, nothing more, nothing less. See? So without clear fix, the image will be outside of its content. Now with the modern clear fix, we have this, and we have talked about this before, so I'm not gonna talk about it that much. Now, center vertically using padding. There are many ways to center an element, particularly in CSS. A simple solution is to use top and bottom padding. Padding, top and bottom. Simple. We know the shorthand properties and they have used this. Okay. To center both vertically or horizontally, use padding and text alignment center. What? Padding, top and bottom. So as you can see, padding, top and bottom, and text alignment center. So we know what this does, so I'm not gonna run it. Center vertically using line limit. Another trick is to use this line height property with a value that is equal to height property. So this thing we can run it. Where is our VS Code? Here, and run it. See, I am vertically and horizontally centered. Okay. Center vertically using position and transform. Now these are the new things. What? Height 20px, position relative, and etc, etc. We just gonna copy this code and run it. If you are new on my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. And I'm vertical and the same thing, just with different method. Like for center and center pre, we are using what? We are using transform minus 50%, and etc. If you add this is what we will do. Same as transform, translate equal to minus 50%. Okay. So this is going to be the same thing. You can also use flex box, display flags, just in clear, etc, blah blah blah. These are the main things you're gonna need. So that is, guys, we have finished learning about the CSS layout and horizontal alignment. Now if you are having any kind of doubts that why I am not teaching you properly, so while episode 1 is basically on clearing out the basics, understanding basics, how does it work and which one is which for, that's this. But in episode 2 we are going to clear out all our doubts with the practical one. Okay, so so now we are going to learn about CSS Combinator. So a combinator is something that explains the relationship between the selectors. A CSS selector can contain more than one simple selector. Between the simple selector, we can include a combinator. There are 4 different combinators in CSS. Descendant combinator, which is space, child combinator, which is this, plus, and this. So we have seen this before. Okay. Now the following subtraction are inside all denominations, etc, etc. Now we're going to run this code in our VS Code. Okay, this is the simple resolution thing, nothing more. Okay, this selection is section p, selection is p, frequency is div, is div, etc, etc. Okay, now these are the inside divs, that's why display. Okay, now let's talk about child combinator. Same thing, just gonna change this code. Okay, so I'm just gonna run it. See, but why it is not targeting the paragraph tree? Paragraph tree is also inside div. So as you can see, inside div, this one selector specify 002. What does mean? It means paragraph 1 in the div, paragraph 2 in the div, and selection paragraph 3 is not getting, no, paragraph 3 is not getting selected. Okay, but when you remove this selection element and run the code again, you can see this. Okay, now if anyone have the doubt, or if anyone having any kind of problem understanding this, you can comment. Okay, let's bring back the selection. Now we are going to next sibling comparator. I'm just gonna use this, copy this and paste this. Simple. Okay, so now why it is targeting what? P? Because you can if you are able to understand CSS after watching along all this video, then you can understand why it is targeting only 4, because div plus P. Okay, div are this div. If we close the div, after div plus P, that's why number 4 is not getting targeted. So what does it do? Substitution. I'm just gonna copy it, paste it. Okay, and post it and run it. So these are targeting what? Outside the divs paragraph. The divs are not targeted at all. The divs are not targeted because div and what? Summation, or you can say substep, or you can use the step symlinks and P. So suppose these are from different mother and father, and these are the same father but different mother. Okay, see, in the simple way, because of div, think of div as a mother, and this guy doesn't have any kind of mother, so you can say these are adopted or step siblings, something like that. So only these are the items. So we have finished learning about CSS Combinator. Now we are moving to the next chapter. So now we are going to learn about CSS Pseudo-classes. What are Pseudo-classes? A Pseudo-classes is used to define a special state of an element. For example, it can be used to style an element, style visit and unvisit links differently, style an element when it gets focused, style valid, invalid, required, optional, form elements. Okay, syntax are this: selector, Pseudo-class, etc., etc. So anchor Pseudo-class. Link can be displayed in different way. So let's see. Okay, unvisited, visited, mouseable link. Sorry, there are 4 links. So as you can see, the link color is what? Red. But whenever I hover, it will show pink, hot pink. But when I select it, it will show blue. Okay, blue. And whenever you actually add a link, it will show green when it's visited. But okay, we will learn this about in the practical video. So hover on div. We know what hover does and what is div. So an example of hover procedure is going to be the same thing. Now simple tooltip hover. Now this we can run it in our VS Code. Control pixel and run it. Hover over this div element to show the p element. See. Huh? So these are the simple thing. Div, hover over this to see the p element, and p will be this. So p is the selector. Now display none. Display background color yellow, and display 20px. Normal thing. We have learned about this normally. But now div, hover p. So it is basically telling that, or commanding that, the code is that whenever div is, this is hover on. You know what hover means? Hover on means hovering this, like I am hovering on this. Okay, hover on the p element will display block. Okay, so block is gonna show the block. Okay, see the difference. Okay, now the CSS first child page pseudo, the first child page pseudo. Okay, match a specific element that is first child of the another element. Now we are going to what? We are going to see the example of the first child. By the way, if you are having difficulty understanding my English, let me tell you, English not is my mother tongue or my first language. That's why I'm not also that kind of fluent with the English language. But I am trying my best, and I am day by day I'm also trying to improve. So let's see. P, this is some text, this is some text, this is some text, this is some text. But why these are text started? Let me explain. As I have told you, when you ever see this, think about it as a step sum. But why it is only targeting the first one? First one. Because this one is the first child, and this one is the first child, or you can say first element of div here. So that's why these are all targeted, nothing more. I hope you have understand that. Now match the first I element in all p. Let's see the example. CSS is fun if you understand it, because without understanding anything you can't just do anything. Okay, now for I, we know that I means italic. We know that I means italic. That's why it is in italic font. So why it is targeting only the strong, or I can say I, because we have select this P, inside P italic, or you can say I, first child, color blue, simple. Okay, we know what first child do, simple. So P, I, first child, etc. These are the simple example of what it can be done. Now match all the I element in all first support. So okay, run it. See, same thing but a little bit different. What? It is targeting I, but first P, first child, it is targeting all the I's. The content inside all the I will be targeted. Simple. Okay. Now CSS, the lamp class. The lamp class allow to define a special rule for different cases. So in this example below, lamp defines the quotation mark for Q elements with the length no. As we know what Q's do, Q is for quotation. So let's see. Okay, what are we seeing? We are seeing some things. Let's say some text, and this is what is doing: quotation, and some text. In this example, etc. for queue in no element. Simple. It's just gonna, what is this gonna do? This is gonna target the no here, and decoration will be the thing. Okay, simple. Beautiful. We have learned. Now we have learned about CSS basic class. Let's move to the next class. So we have finished about CSS basic class. Now we are going to learn about elements. What are basically elements? The CSS element can be used to style specific parts of an element. For example, it can be used to style, insert content, style the marker of the style the view box, inside the blah 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 blah. So the syntax of basically elements are selector. What is selector? We know what selector. If you want to select, if you want to work with P instead of selector, you can put the P or H1 or anything you want. So PCD element and properties value, etc, etc. So the first line is like a first child. So I'm just gonna give you something to explain and see. Okay, see, you can use the first line period to add a special effect. Simple. It's like what? It's like the first child, but it cannot target to one. Okay, similar. So no first line can appear blah 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 blah. So the following properties can apply to the first line procedure. From properties color, background, what, etc. Background align, text align, clear, etc. Now the first letter procedure element. The first letter procedure is also add to a special box, etc, 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 etc. The what is going to be is going to be extra large. The text will be extra large. That's why I'm not gonna run it, etc, etc. So procedure element and the HTML classes. This we can run it in our VS Code. Where is my VS Code, and paste it and run it. See, why it is only targeting the T? Because it is first letter. P intro first letter. Simple. Okay. Multiple procedure answers. In several volumes can multiple answers that right, etc, etc. So for example, you can use this. You can use this to run it. Simple thing, huh? So the before procedure. Now we are going to learn about what is before. Just copy paste and now we don't have the GF, that's why it's not showing, but it is now. This is the heading, this is the before paste, and this is the heading. Okay, we'll learn about it more, just seeing the basic. And after the same thing. Now markup procedure element. The markup procedure element is the same thing with a different color, different shade, and different selection procedure. Selection procedure is red. Okay, yellow, and that's it. These are the same example with the different types and a little bit tweaking. So guys, we have learned and finished. We have finished learning about CSS Pseudo-elements. Now moving to the next chapter. So guys, we are going to learn about the CSS Navigation Bar. Navigation Bar having an easy to navigation for any user with CSS you can transform body and style menus into good looking navigation. We also know that. Navigation bar equal to list or big. We also know that. So this is how you can add it. Okay, I'm just gonna run this code. So this is what is navigation means. Now this look like a boring shit, so we are just gonna add some styles. Sorry, I'm just gonna use the whole stuff. Let me know. I'm just gonna copy this so I don't have to edit much. So as you can see, it is style by removing the padding and the margin. Okay, we have removed the padding and the margin. All this. Now CSS vertical navigation bar like this. To create this type of navigation bar, we need to have this, run this. So what we are seeing? We are seeing many things, but for now I'm just gonna change differentiate card to this, okay, and run it for better performance. Okay, so what we are using here, same UL list, nothing more, nothing less. So what we are using here, UL list style type, now margin 0, padding 0. We have removed the padding and now we are targeting the list and anchor. I mean that text. So background color will be green, red peaks and block. Okay. Same things we have learned. Now this example, you can use this to explain like block displaying the links as a block element to make the whole link clickable, not the just text, blah blah blah. Wedges, we know what this means. You can set the weight of the remote blah 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 plus like in this, like in this, like in this. So active current navigation, you can list create like this, same shade, and that's why I'm not trying to do. You can center the text by using the text center align, and we also know the text border etc. The code will be like this, padding 0 0 weight 0 x 0 border white space, and the box is like this, and text solution none, and list will be center, and the list will be you can use the first name so full height fixed vertical navbar, and will be the what body margin 0 and the thing. So same thing with different kind of styles. That's why I'm not running it in VS Code. Navigation bar, you can use this, you can use this, and active current bar also, you can use this, you can use this. Right alignment bar, we have known this, what this type of does. Then border divider, what does border divider do? It's gonna divide the borders. Okay, so nothing more. Fixed navigation is going to fix on the top or anywhere if you like. So fixed bottom, same thing. And gray horizontal nav bar is going to show us this type of thing, gray color. Sticky nav bar, we can run it. We know what sticky mean. That's why we are going to run it, because they are fun. See, we have sticky scroll bar. Now if I scroll, it's going to be screen. But for example, if I scroll like this, it's going, the navbar will be like this. Okay, that's what sticky do. Now responsive top bar. The responsive top bars usually don't create and things, and just gonna contract the port, navigation to port, and okay, responsive top bar like this. Okay, so what makes it responsive? Top back, top nav, active. You can have to body it, but the main part is here. But inside the body, margin 0 equals top bar, margin padding, overflow is hidden. So top flow is here, and float is left, float is to left, and next etc. Text division is done. Now let's make it active. Background color, and media screen max width etc. It doesn't measure. These are the simple examples. Now side nav are the same things as the responsive top bar, and that's it, guys. We have learned about CSS navigation bar, but we will learn more deeply using the practical, or you can say creating practically the navigation bar. That's why I am just explaining things, not going deeply. Now after navigation bar, we are going to learn about CSS dropdowns. So basic dropdowns, create a drop box that appears when the user moves the mouse on the element. So what does it mean? You can see. Okay, now run it. Hoverable docs box. Okay, hoverable docs box. Same, we have learned about same thing, but it's showing us a box. Okay, we have known about this. Just seeing the drop down, position is relative, display inline blocks, dot box, content, display non absolute, position absolute, color white, etc, etc, etc. Back shadow. What is back shadow? Back shadow is the bottom of the back shadow is what is, etc, etc. And padding is 20 pixels, then so is showing, etc, etc, etc. So you can see, you can check out this. I'm just gonna explain. Use a container element like div to create divs. Wrap that element with the element position to drop down content correctly with CSS. Okay, the drop down class uses position relative, which is needed when we use the Dropbox to be placed right below the Dropbox button using position absolute. The Dropbox content class holds the actual Dropbox content is hidden by absolute and on the hover. Note that the meaning word is excellent, and feel free to tips if you want to wait a set rows, etc, etc. Instead of using the border, you can use the border property, blah 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 blah, the hover, etc. Now if you want to create a Dropbox menu, you can use this. I'm just gonna explain this. I'm gonna show you only this example. You can check the other one on your own. See, like this. So what do we have here? Let's see. Class drop down button, drop button, class drop button, content, and contents are this. So what we have in the CSS, drop for the drop button, and for the drop button color is green, and text color is white, and other things are normal, as you can see. But when you see the cursor pointer, see, is create pointer, or you can say the, and I can show now. Drop down, position, relative, and block line. These are the drop down decision. So drop down, content, position, absolute, and color, background, etc, etc. And these are the drop box of the content. So drop box content accelerates the text recognition, etc. So this. So after that, drop box color for background color like this. Okay. Now drop box color is this. Then drop button color this. When hover, it's gonna show. It's gonna change the color of this. Okay. Now this same thing. That's why I'm not gonna explain with a different thing. Dropbox image, same, just using EPS. Dropbox navigation, we know what navigation bar do, and so we have learned about the basic drop downs of CSS. Now moving to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about the CSS Image Gallery. Okay, what is Image Gallery? We're going to learn it here. Okay, I'm just gonna use this. So there are several images here, but none of them will be work because I haven't put the link here. So this will show like this. Just put the understand deep gallery, margin, deep hole, deep image, etc, etc, etc. This is how you can target all the elements. And this is this is this, and this is this. Okay, just simply understand the content I'm trying to explain. Deep class gallery, target blank, and this will be the link of your image or source, etc, etc. Okay, same things explain perfectly. That's why I'm trying my best. So inside source I'm going to use this. Also headers, I'm going to use this. don't care what does mean. Can do whatever. Just gonna do what I'm trying to do. This will be the same image, so copy this. Okay, now run the code. See, same thing, we differentiate. Okay, now you have the question about why it is not showing any kind of description here. Well, I haven't had any kind of description here, but it's just to show because we haven't done anything else. So this will show like this. Okay, now for disk padding, disk gallery, disk hover, etc. So disk gallery when hover is going to show the color like this. Okay, picks for the color, etc. color, same thing. Now we're going to learn about CSS Forms. Directly copying the code, okay, and running it on our VS Code. As you can see, first let's see what is HTML. Div from action. We know what is HTML from to action page.php label for first name, text ID first name, placeholder your name, placeholder is your name, and text. Now these are the basic things. Label for country, etc. Optional value Australia, Canada, USA, etc. It's not optional. Okay, you can add your country. So for input type, what we have, type text, select weight 100%, weight will be 100%, and padding is 12 px, 2 px, margin is 10, display in blocks, and border on px, radius is 20 px, this is 40 px, and box size border box. Okay, now input but type, what input type, submit. This was text, this was submit. So whenever I put an input like this and submit, it is the job. So the submit but background color will be like this, this and this and this, everything. So whenever we put our cross, it will show like that. It will change the cursor from this. Okay, as you can see the difference. Now input hover, submit, whenever hover, the color will change to a lighter color, green color. Okay, now deep border, etc. Same things. Okay, now styling input field. Use the weight property to determine the weight of the input field. We know what weight mean and what one pattern mean. That's why we're not going to do it. Okay, now this example, blah 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 blah. If you want to style and specific input, you can use attribute selector like input type text, input type password, input type number. Okay, we'll select only number with password. So padded input, using the padding property to add a space into text page when you have to many inputs are merging. So whatever. Run it. See what is creating? Input text, this. So border input will show inside this kind of border using what we have our box size, box solid, border radius, etc. Input type text and etc. So if you want a border, use a border property like this. Color property is a color property, and input weight with the icon image. Also you can use the icon image for search with PNG. So animated search input. You can do one more thing. Before starting, you can see what we have put it. Animate the weight, text input, text search page without search. So whenever we run it, it will show us and animate it. But how it is possible? With CSS it is possible. Let's see. Where is 130 px, border box, font size. We know this. White color, we know this. Now background image URL session pizza search on pn. Okay, background position 10 px, repeat page. Yes. Now the thing we are seeing as animated is because of this translation. Wait for this. See, the thing we are seeing because of this translation. Where is in out, okay. So now responsive form, we're not going to see it because we have seen it many times. Now resize the window test it. So guys, we have learned the basics of CSS forms. Now moving to the next chapter, or you can say chapter. I will try to explain with patience. Website layout. A website is often divided into headers, menus, content and footer. Okay, what is header? We know what is header. A header is usually located at top of the website or lie bottom or top navigation. It's often content and logo or website name. Okay, what is navigation bar? We know what is navigation bar. Navigation bar contain a list of links to help visitor navigation to your website. Okay. Content. The layout in this section often depend on the target users. The most common layout is one or combine them of the following: 1 column, 2 column, 3 column layout, often used for mobile user, tablet and laptop user, desktop user. We will create 3 layout and change it into 1 layout on a smaller display. So this we are going to run it on our what? We are going to run it on our VS Code. But make sure we haven't left out anything else. Okay, so as you can see, this is the header. Resize the browser to see the effect. Okay, this is the header and this is the 3 columns, 1 2 3. Okay, now if you look at HTML, same things we have seen before: div class header, div class top nav, links. Okay, now div class row. What is row? It is rows under this. The class columns, etc, etc. Okay, so if you see it, we have created this div and finished it and grabbed all of the other 3 columns inside this series. Okay, now looking at the CSS, we are using what? We are using universal selector, box sizing, border box. Okay, and body is margin 0, and for header same thing, and top nav, overflow, hidden, background color, this. Okay, now top float left, so that's why it's float on left side, not right side, left side. Okay, display block, color block, a block, blah blah blah. Top neck, a hover, background color, etc etc. Columns, float, left, 3D PD spreading. Row after content, display table, etc etc. Tables this. Row after table this. So display table, clear board. So I hope you have understanding this. Now we have also know what is footer. Footer displays at the bottom layer obtain content information about etc etc. So we are not going to run it. Now what is responsive website? Using some CSS code above, we have created a LFC website library with various columns, folder, etc. Now we are going to run and make it a full. Let's see what is a responsive website means. Code. So before starting, we are going to see the HTML first. What we have div class header for header this, and we have top nav. We are going to see some navigation, and there are 3 links, and that will be float right this side. Okay, and div class row left column, cart, title, heading, page, etc, imaging, etc 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 etc. So let's run the code. See, one link is float right, as I told you, like this one is here and other one is here. Okay, now div class rows are this class rows. This has created rows, or you can say columns. Left column. So left one, the columns will be what? The columns will be the left side, and by the main the right side. So let's search for right column. You can see the right column. Right column or this, left column or this. Okay. So let's look at the CSS universal selector. Not gonna explain because we know body, we also know header, we also know header and h1 we also know. Now top net overflow hidden we also know, top net navigation float left, and etc etc etc. Okay, we also know, and top net links hover we know, left column float left, weight is 75%. So this is 75%, this is 25%. Okay, 25%. Okay, now fake image, etc etc. This will create a fake image. Background color will be like this, weight this will be like this, 100%, etc etc. Now cart, for the cart we can use this etc, and row after etc etc we know, and what is this footer we know. So let's see what is this. Is normally a basic responsive website layout, CSS layout. The footer, the header, and the container. I can say the contents inside it. Okay, so that's this guide. We have finished learning about CSS website layouts. Now moving to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about CSS unit, and this is very simple thing. We have known this before. What is CSS unit? CSS has several units for length. Many CSS provide length values such as weight, margin, padding, etc etc. Length is a number such as px, es. We have discussed this about before. You can use px, em, inch, meter, blah 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 blah. So there are 2 types of length units: absolute units and relative units. Absolute length unit, there are absolute units fixed, and length expressed in any way will be appear as exactly the size. The absolute length units are not available on screen, but because in screen very much, however they can be used output blah 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 blah. So units are centimeter, meter, in inch, px, pt, pc. Okay. Now, what is relative length? Relative events specify length to another scan dimension. So, what is the relative element? EM, EX, CH, RAM, viewport, BH, view height, and view minimum, view max, etc. percentage. So we have finished learning about CSS element, and these are the simple thing we have learned and see this and used this before. So moving to the next chapter, and this is the last chapter of episode 1, the CSS The Important Rule. What is important rule? The important rule in CSS is used to add more importance to a property or value than normal. In fact, you can use important rule, it will override all previous styling, etc. Let's look at this example, and I am very excited to finish finally able to finish this episode 1. So let's look at this paragraph 1, my class, my ID. So for ID, we know that for ID we have to use hash, and for class we have to use dot. Simple. So this is our showing that through ID selector and the class selector have higher explicit. The important about important. Okay. The overall important rule to another important rule, blah 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 blah, CSS position. So here we have created a simple example that is not very clear, but when you look at the CSS rule, which color is considered most important. Okay. Let's run it. See? Some text, my class, etc. So maybe one or two fair use of important. One way to use important is if you have to override a style that cannot be overwritten in any other way. It could be if you're using on a content management system, CMS, and cannot edit the CSS code. Then you can set some custom style to override some of these CMS styles. Another way to use the important is assume you have a special loop for all button on a page. Here button are styled with a gray background color, white color. So button background color white and simple. I'm not gonna run it. So guys, we have finished our episode 1, and thank you for watching the episode 1. If you like the video, please share with your friends, and if you are new on my channel, subscribe to my channel. That will help me and motivate me to create more videos. And as if you have watched week 0, you can tell that I have put some another method to create the video and edit the video. Hope you like it. So see you in the next video.